Attention gamers. The other day I was on Twitter because I heard that Kanye West's wife was donating a ridiculous amount of free titty to my eyeballs, as I just love to see what having too much money does to people, while also checking in on how my favorite self-proclaimed rank 1 PoE player is doing at his new big boy government job. But what was not on my Twitter bingo card was stumbling across a League of Legends post that actually made me crave playing a game of that torture simulator. Turns out there's some quote-unquote LP printer Cho'gath build that is terrorizing even the highest of elos, where players are saying they've played against the best Challenger 1 tricks and it wasn't nearly as bad as this Masters player running this troll nonsense, as many of the top guys and girlies in the scene are on this thread commenting about how it's only going to get stronger. So I put on my Sherlock Holmes monocle and went into spectate backseater mode to see how this guy is making Grandmaster games look like silver pissing festivals, all to his benefit by taking advantage of good old Uncle Rito's game design. But speaking of actual good game design, this video is sponsored by none other than Warhammer 40,000 Tacticus, aka arguably the best turn-based mobile game that I have ever played. In a world where microtransactions are shoved down your throat every 2 seconds, Tacticus brings a breath of fresh air by having the most redeeming and high-quality gameplay featuring your favorite champions that you can collect and upgrade. My favorite faction has to be the Space Wolves because the champs are badass and dominate in so many rosters. There's story-driven campaigns and PvP where you can hone your skills in this highly strategic hex-marked chess IQ caliber gameplay where you can excel and improve without having to be glued to your screen. As many of you know, I just had a baby, so having something convenient on my phone to play through and keep me engaged has been clutch, so I highly recommend you give this calming high-quality game a try using my link below, and let's get back to the video. Alright, so game 1, he's going top lane Godzilla with your standard Duran's finger bling and Hall of Blades as the rune against one of those spin to win shit stains who think climbing with a champ like Garen is a life worth living. Anyways, the first weird thing that I noticed is by level 3 this overgrown lizard is already heading south for a quick vacay because the local news down there is saying a tranquilizing toddler is in grave danger and someone's gotta be there to avenge her overextending and dying like a dumb fuck. As you can then see, he hits Ghost to make like a wet fart and slide out of that shithole. Then because this is top lane, he has to deal with a proxy pusher due to the bousification of League, but he gives the proverbial middle finger to that strat as he patiently completes his own genocide of the Blue Robe Academy, knowing that Miss Glitter Tits will be in the area to deal with that Demacian dickhole in a minute. He approaches carefully, knowing at this point in the game that twirling titan of a titmonger can still insta-give him with one combo, but like a typical Garen player the dude runs away from safety, which earns him a lease and an urn. The lunatic rushes me bees and a support item which I know for a fact would have at least a few solo queue teammates every game in all chat saying GG9x this motherfucker, but what they don't realize is it's making him an absolute speed demon for his size, which I guess means hunting for his next meal is easier. Then because he quite literally ate the moon whore, it's just Guston from Beauty and the Beast left, and this particular beast has no counterplay at this point other than to run, which I guess is what sparked this tweet. And I guess in high elo, when you are more dick than a young Lana Rhodes at a frat party, you just suicide yourself for the greater good while trying to play the objective game. But Chompy here is now deep-throating any dude under 40% health, which just 23 minutes into the game means that he is now 6-0 with 4k health, and a character model bigger than Shaq's dick, and I guess the time to pick fights with this monstrosity was over a long time ago, as no one stands a chance, as he marches down and takes a free nexus with this roaming movement speed beefcake deep throat tech. But in looking at his match history, it looks like he was also running this nonsense in the mid lane, to which I figured he would just get bullied and poked out of lane early, and thus we will spectate Andes in game 2 as well. This one starts with some pool floaties rat fuck being more out of place than a sense of modesty on Kanye's wife, which earns Rex from Toy Story a free first blood. He bullies 2 waves of Hufflepuff daycare escapees before deciding that normal laning is lame, knowing that the enemy team has a fresh windshitter, likely a Mountain Dew hydrated Pop-Tart eating greasy masturbator who never looks at his mini-map, and he knows that heading up this early against one of those is essentially a free kill for him and his co-workers. He hits a quick base like a young Paul McCartney, only to use his paycheck on the speed variant of New Balance along with a small tome, and then he immediately runs to the Void Fetuses to start off the objective for his Juggalo. This attracts the attention of both teams' ball cuffers as well as both teams' forest frolickers, which means it's a gangbang mid, one where Shen will be crawling out of our main character's asshole and the Samsung Galaxy Tadpole is going to be dying as a result. At this point, if you were to tell me this was a Grandmaster game, I would say yeah, and I'm the fucking Pope, as you see just an uncoordinated ARAM assembling mid, as if there is a pending roll call as the bomb rat gets tied up, knocked up and taken down by the ejaculating spiky acne that sheds off of this action figure every time he attacks. Then you'd think the enemy team was a bunch of vegans with how little they were contesting the red meat on the table in River, which was now the second free objective for his team. The enemy team is now getting desperate, failing miserably at doing their best Kesha EU impersonation, and it looks like with just boots and a smorgasbord of random item components he is already getting close to that zero counterplay LP printing setup that we read about on Twitter as the Yeti riding midget who always carries around balls of frozen water unironically burns to death. This increases his wealth to the point where an empowered recall into I'm gonna rush a support item on my Hail of Blades hypermobility Cho'gath mid-tech comes in effect once again. This means that the second generation of Sentient Rift testicles will also be uncontested, as it turns out his mid-lane presence is enough to secure every objective for his team with ease. Then I guess the point of this LP printing setup is to write an alternative ending to Godzilla, one where you don't die because you have enough movement speed to chase every living creature down while also looking slightly more like it was produced by Pixar as you take down the yelping Yeti. He's then back and zooming around mid at speeds that I guess make landing Qs pretty easy against spectral sperm cells, so you add the slow from the Q and Obama's wife on a celeb shot and you can see how this feels pretty bad to play against. This absolute menace from Andy's toy chest is now running through the forest faster than a vlogging Keemstar, which is bad news bears for this oblivious mutton of a windshitter who dashes around like a dying deer while running further into danger like all of his kind do. He does build up the courage to turn and fight at one point, thinking it's just a single support item Cho with zero defensives in his boots, but the HP gain from chomping is just too strong. Then him and the feral druid of a jungler he has are just up to no good, trying to find the best angle to tap the ass of an enemy, only to give up on the whole flanky fuck thing and instead enter the lane through the front door like civilized murderers on their scheduled meeting with the soon-to-be widowed Willem. This secures a free Rift Herald, which is like the hat trick on uncontested objectives that this madman of a mid laner has created. This weaponized Yoshi is definitely outgrowing his outfits at alarming rates as he teams up with Obama's wife to put him in the Veil of Virginity so that he can play surprise you about to be a dead bitch with the polar bear jockey who tries to hit a swan song of a frozen quake only to come up very short. He's now at 2.5 items, which means every play is starting to look like this. Add another free objective in the form of an albino dragon despite the puking paparazzi, and then you can see that the fact that he is now stickier than a jizzed on glue stick kinda creates a bad situation for anyone in his path. He is now putting visuals behind the phrase large and in charge, and any poor windshitter that tries to breathe his air is going to learn the hard way why that's a waste of time. And clearly by his raw size at this point he is obviously fed enough, so he does what any Toy Story looking dragon T-Rex homie would do, and that's to stand still and not steal the kill from his teammate. I'm not really sure what his 5-year plan at this point is, as he seems entirely unguided by anything, just wandering around inside of chaos, but he is tanky enough to just exist and thrive, which makes my naive ass feel confident enough to try this 0 IQ LP printing bullshit in my own games. As you can see, it's oppressive enough to have these high elo players scrambling around like a group of dehived wasps, and so with that, I guess go try this movement speed support item Hail of Blades LP printing bullshit and let me know if you have as much success as this madman. Also, don't forget to give Warhammer 40k Tacticus a try, as it's fun and completely free using my link below. Rav out.